The Imperial Examination. The Imperial Examination, or 科举制度, was a major part of Chinese history for over 1,300 years. It was a civil service examination held by the governments of Imperial China for the purpose of selecting people to work in the state bureaucracy. The people who passed the exams received money, status, privileges, titles, and prestige. The exam gave rise to a class of scholar bureaucrats in dynastic China. History. As Chinese history is vast and varied, I'll be giving a brief history of the imperial exam through the major dynasties. Please note that each dynasty, and even different emperors, had different rules regarding the imperial exam. This video will only give a brief overview. The Sway Dynasty. Many historians would argue that the first imperial exam took place during the reign of Emperor Yang of Sway, Sui Yangdi, the second and last emperor of the Sway Dynasty. The imperial exam was created to be an impartial way of absorbing new talent into the government, as the previous dynasty's way of selecting new bureaucrats was through recommendations of other members of the bureaucracy, which led to people recommending their friends and family to reinforce their own positions. The imperial exam was an innovation because the selection process would not be based on who a person knows, but rather their abilities as a scholar, thus mitigating the problem of aristocratic clans becoming more influential than the emperor. The Tang Dynasty. The Tang Dynasty continued the use of the imperial exam and expanded upon it. Wu Zetian, China's only female emperor, created both the palace exam and the military exam. The palace exam was an exam hosted by the emperor inside the palace for those who managed to pass the exam held at the imperial capital, and earned the title of 进士. The person who made the top score during the palace exam was called 状元, which is a word still in use in China today to mean a person who's got the top rank on an exam. In addition, the person who got first during the provincial level exam is called 解元, and the person who got first at the imperial capital exam is called 会员. Someone who managed to get the number one spot on all three exams is called 三元及第, and there are only 14 people who managed it in Chinese history. The military exam is as it sounds. Instead of testing one's scholarly abilities, it tests people on physical prowess, such as wrestling, weightlifting, and archery. The Song Dynasty. The Song Dynasty saw the addition of many anti-cheating methods, such as covering up the examinees' names, having an official make copies of the examinees' answers so that the examiner wouldn't be biased towards a familiar handwriting, and locking everyone in a designated location for the duration of the test to ensure no one got any outside help. The Song Dynasty also saw the rise of the 进士 presented scholar exam as the only category of the imperial exam for people to take. The Tang Dynasty exams had categories such as writing, arithmetics, and history. The reforms also introduced the 经义 essay, which tests the candidate's understanding of Confucian classics and their ability to compose essays using that understanding. The Ming Dynasty. The first emperor of the Ming Dynasty, Emperor Hongwu, decreed that the imperial exam will only use 四书五经, the 4 books and 5 classics, so candidates only focused on studying those books. The 4 books are 大学, Great Learning, 中庸, Doctrine of the Mean, 论语, Analects, and 孟子, Mencius. They are books that demonstrates the core values and beliefs of Confucianism. The 5 classics are 诗经, classic of poetry, 尚书, book of documents, 礼记, book of rites, 周易, book of changes, and 春秋, spring and autumn annuals. They are the 5 pre-Ting Dynasty texts that are considered part of the traditional Confucian canon. With this change in test curriculum came a new form of essay called 八股文, 8-legged essay, which some historians sees as a spiritual successor to the 经义 essay. While the 经义 essay was supposed to be based in logic, the essay form wasn't set in stone like the 8-legged essay. So called because there's exactly 8 parts to the essay, and each section of the essay had well-defined limits on what can be written and how many sentences are allowed. The Ting Dynasty. The Ting Dynasty saw a continuation of the Ming Dynasty exam format, which many people argued at the time had led to the stagnation of the nation. There was only so many questions that can be pulled from the set of classics, and the 8-legged essay format was restrictive to any form of creativity. Eventually, after a series of policy reforms, the Imperial examination was ended by royal decree in 1905. Anti-cheating methods. I already mentioned that during the Song Dynasty, candidates took the exam in a designated area and weren't allowed to leave until the exam was over. These places have a name and they're called 贡院, and they're not fun places to be. Each examinee was assigned an examination cell where they had to stay for the 3 days of the exam. The cells were small and bare with only 2 wood planks, serving as desk and chair. The examinees were to bring their own food and water. The exams took place during spring and autumn, which meant the 3 walls of the exam cells didn't provide much protection from the elements. People have died during the exams. But that didn't stop anyone from taking the exams, and various methods of cheating and cheating prevention was born. Cheat sheets were tucked and or sewn into clothing, hidden amongst food or stationery, or written onto body parts. Open examination cells and bag searches helped to mitigate this kind of cheating. Bribing the examiner was popular too. Even with the examinees' names and handwriting removed, particular phrases can be used to signal a person's identity to the examiner, and thus examiners were forbidden to entertain guests during the examination period. If someone were found taking bribes, they were in danger of losing their head. And finally, there was the method of paying someone else to take the exam in your name. This was more prominent during the Tang Dynasty, and is countered by asking the person to provide a detailed history with descriptions of their physical appearance and a guarantee provided by their local government. And that was a brief look at the Imperial examination. I hope you found this video informative. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like and a comment, and you can also subscribe for more videos like this.